Yeah, I'll react to that, sure.
London has reopened again after 100...
Guys, Tower of London. I want to watch a more history-related video on Tower of London, but I think this is more of a tour. That's fine for now.
days in lockdown. We were there to take you on a tour with virtually no visitors. It's a surreal and memorable visit. Join us for a brief history and highlights of this 1,000-year-old fortress. The Tower of London sits majestically on the banks of the River Thames at Tower Hill, a strategic position picked by its founder William the Conqueror, so it could be seen from afar. William built the tower to establish his rule over the city following his victory in the Norman conquest of England in 1066. Of course, London has changed drastically since then, and the tower is dwarfed by the 21st century skyline. Currently,
1066 building, modern skyscrapers. Do I have to say what is so amazing to me? I've said it many times. I'm very jealous.
Currently running
Your history is a museum itself.
One-way system in the grounds due to COVID.
Your city
you enter under the by-wall tower in the southwest corner. Walking through the defences and the portcullis, we pass a yeoman warder, or beefeater as they're more commonly known. Guardians of the tower, they protect the crown jewels and have given guided tours since the Victorian era. Just here on Mint Lane, the Royal Mint was located until 1810. Originally a royal residence, over the centuries it's turned into the Royal Armoury and a prison with a grisly history. As we move down Water Lane, we arrive at Traitor's Gate, a waterway entrance to the tower from the Thames for King Edward I. This became more famous for bringing prisoners to the tower. Speculation has it that Anne Boleyn came through here by barge before being decapitated for high treason on the orders of King Henry VIII.
So guys, when Henry VIII was around, the Tower of London was older to him than the start of the United States is to me. It's that sort of depth of history that I find so, I guess I'm jealous of.
The infamous Bloody Tower gets its name from the mysterious disappearance of two princes held there supposedly for their protection by Richard III.
Right, they found the skeletons,
They were never
right?
seen again until 1674, when two small skeletons were found under the stairs in one of the towers. Widely believed to be the princes' bodies, they were interred at Westminster Abbey. Visiting inside the tower...
Aren't you really curious? Why don't you, like measure them perfectly, see what the possible cause of death is, if they have any has there done any sort of detective work? I'm not saying that, I mean just for historical sake. I'm not saying for like, oh, you got to find the murderer or something. It's a royal affair hundreds of years ago. But I'm just kind of curious if they've done any, yeah, you know what I mean?
Is not possible at present due to COVID. In addition, the Torture in the Tower exhibition covering all the gruesome instruments of torture was also out of action. It is said that the kingdom and tower will fall if the 6 resident ravens ever leave the fortress.
Didn't the king,
Charles II is thought to have been the first to insist that the ravens of the tower be protected after he was warned of this impending disaster.
Oh, I thought he had 2 of them like forcibly like caged so they couldn't.
Today, tradition is upheld and 7 ravens, 6 and 1 spare, are free to roam the grounds looked after by the warders. At the heart of the Tower of London is the iconic White Tower, the largest tower in the castle and the strongest from a military perspective. It provided accommodation for William the Conqueror and his representatives and includes a chapel. We'll learn more about this impressive structure a bit later. Tower Green looks like a pretty square inside the castle, and it is, but there's more to it than first appears. Castle, and it is.
I never really thought about what. Of course, sorry, I'm not talking. I've never really thought about what surrounded it, and clearly there's walls around it, and what looks to be much more modern. Wow, look at that! It's built right into the wall. It's like the building fuses into the wall.
But there's more to it than first appears.
So what would this have looked like if you were rolling up on a boat up this river, 800 years ago or 600 years ago? Would this just be such a dominating structure, the center of all London? Nice
the
grass.
Tudor buildings, including the Queen's House, were built probably for Anne Boleyn before her coronation in 1533. Ironically, it was also where she was imprisoned before her execution. A sentry still guards the house to this day. The other cottages around the green are used as houses and offices for the yeoman warders, some of which live on site. By the entrance to the Bloody Tower, there is a recreation of a small apothecary garden, tended to by the famous explorer Sir Walter Raleigh. Once a favourite of Elizabeth I, he fell out with James I and was imprisoned here 3 times before his execution in Westminster.
The capital of North Carolina is named after him, I think.
Many heads have rolled on the green in the shadow of the royal chapel, most notably 3 former queens, Anne Boleyn and Catherine Howard, both married to Henry VIII and both charged with adultery. The third, the 9-day queen, Lady Jane Grey, innocent victim of a failed coup, Mary Tudor ordered her execution. This sculpture marks a spot and remembers those that were condemned to death by the state.
Guys, question. Oh no. What? Oh, if there, do men have a, who decides the gender? I heard something to do with like temperature, but does anyone know if male or female, your child being male or female, is decided by just chance, or if some couples are more likely to create a female rather than a male, or a male rather than a female based on their genetics? Does anyone know what, like, was it Henry's fault essentially that he just never had a son? Or at least, if anyone knows. Yeah, I like this. Am I subbed? Yep.
We arrive at Waterloo Block, formerly a barracks for 800 soldiers, now home to the crown jewels.
What is it called?
Waterloo Block, formerly a barracks for 800 soldiers, now home to the crown jewels. Armed guards patrol the perimeter of the Jewel House. Inside you can see the powerful symbols of monarchy with the world-famous collection of jewels worth £3 billion.
That's pretty heavy.
At the heart of the collection is the coronation regalia and imperial state crown. Sadly, no video or photography is allowed inside. Built to deter foreign invaders and terrify Londoners, the White Tower is probably the most recognisable castle keep in the world. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, normally 2.7 million visitors step inside each year. Though you wouldn't think so today, it's hard to believe that this building is almost 1,000 years old. The arms and armoury collection in the White Tower dates back to the 15th century. Known then as the King's Privy Wardrobe, within the walls of the Tower of London a department made armour and weapons for the monarch and his army. By the time of Charles II, there was a permanent collection of Spanish armour and wardrobe. Within the walls of the Tower of London a department made armour and weapons for the monarch and his army. By the time of Charles II, there was a permanent collection of Spanish armoury on display, making it the first museum in Britain. Today you can see a wonderful collection of artifacts, many belonging to the former kings of England. Just a part of the collection.
That's pretty interesting. The first museum being...
Making it the firm of Charles II, there was a permanent collection of Spanish armoury on display, making it the first museum in Britain.
Cool.
Today you can see a wonderful collection of artifacts, many belonging to the former kings of England. Just a part of the collection can be displayed.
What's that? Was that a helmet? No. If anyone knows what that was. I have so many questions. What is that? Is that for a horse? That's for a horse.
Widely regarded as one of the best examples of Romanesque architecture, the Chapel of St. John the Evangelist was probably used by the royal family when they were in residence. The top floor was closed, but here you will find an original executioner's block of the 18th century with an axe that possibly dates back to Tudor times.
So it's been used? Classic conquistador helmet. I don't know if that's the term. That's just what I think of when I see it. Nice. Was this like in case he got an erection or something? Or is he just trying to like what? Man, how long back have men been like wanting to portray them? Never mind. Just as oh, I think I was right. Is that the thing? What is that for, though? It looks like a feeder.
As we leave the tower behind...
Anyone know if that thing on the horse's mouth was a feeder or, like, for protection?
As we leave the tower behind, you get views of the Thames and Tower Bridge. Path takes us to the east side of the tower, where the headquarters of the Royal Regiment of Fusiliers are housed, a former hospital block and a workshop. You may have noticed the elephant and wonder what it's doing here in the tower. While London's first zoo was actually in the tower as a result of monarchs exchanging exotic animals as gifts. The King of France sent an elephant in the 12th century, and Londoners flocked to see it, and the collection grew. By the 19th century, the menagerie was in decline, and today's London Zoo is based on that original collection.
As much as I love the internet, I really do. I think I've learned more I don't really know. I was about to say I've learned more on the internet than I did in all of my years of schooling. I've definitely learned more on the internet than I did in college. I can say that for sure. But I also wasn't I wasn't a terrible student. But my point was that imagine the feeling of like, what is it? It's an elephant, and just maybe having drawings of it. You don't have pictures of it or anything, and just seeing this massive thing. And because of the internet, there just isn't an animal that I'm gonna be like, oh my God, I've never seen anything like that in my life. Just because I just feel like a lot of magic has probably been taken out of the world because so many things are found out. And that's why I'm so big on wanting like space exploration and stuff, because that's the next place we have to try and figure out. But anyways, yeah, so that's what it made me think of. Imagine just, and like hearing it, and you've never heard that noise before, and then going and seeing this giant thing.
As we exit the Tower of London, you get a chance to see the Thames-facing part of Traitor's Gate as we walk along the banks. For information on advance booking, check out this website. This will also include details of what is open inside the tower. Check out our Icons of London video for more famous London attractions, and consider subscribing if you like our content. Until the next time, happy travels from the Memory Seekers.
Ooh.
This time
Yes, please.
we visit...
Guys, great video. I hope you guys are all doing well. I'd appreciate any answers to my questions and any comments at all. Hope you guys are doing well. See you next time. Bye.